Hey, happy Halloween, everybody. This is a subscriber viewer requested ghoulish Halloween vlog. They said, Sean, and they've actually been asking me this for years, but I've actually haven't got around to doing it. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it for the Halloween 2016 extravaganza, Tony Danza, tap dancing bonanza. I hope you join me. We're playing all kinds of ghoulish games this week. I'm doing Resident Evil Umbrella Corps as the viewer subscriber requested video. But this one is my top 5, because there's a lot of them, because it's my favorite genre. It was hard to choose. My top 5 scariest movies of all time that I really truthfully enjoy in my life. Starting with number 5, The Conjuring and Ring. The Conjuring was such an awesome movie. I love 1 and 2, by the way. I probably like 1 a little bit more than 2, but the sequel was really good. For a newer movie, I thought it was really good. Me and my mom actually watched The Warrens, the actual original demon hunters that the movie was based on. We watched them on a lot of the haunting shows on the Travel Channel and the Sci-Fi and all that. So it was interesting to see their movie laid out. I thought it was really scary. I thought it had some really top scares in it. It had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. If you haven't seen The Conjuring 1 and 2, you definitely want to check those movies out. I thought they were really well done. There hadn't been, at that time, a scary movie that I've seen, because every time I think of a real scary movie, I think back to the classics, you know, of back in the day before I was even born or growing up. This was a breath of fresh air. I found this one to be one of the more scary ones, because you got a lot of these stupid, disgusting teen flicks, and oh my god, ah! Or a lot of these movies where the people are flipping out and you never see what they're seeing, and horrible acting. This one I thought was really well done. It was one of the more newer ones that I liked. With that said, coming in at number 4, I would have to say The Ring. I absolutely thought that The Ring was scary. I mean, when she was coming out of the well and coming out of the TV, I just found that absolutely terrifying. You know, you watch the tape 7 days. 7 days. Maybe 8 if it's leap year. I just thought that movie was really scary. I loved, when that movie came out, I remember showing it to friends and having people come over, and I loved watching their reactions. It was a good movie. I would say number 3, Salem's Lot. A classic. An absolute classic. Salem's Lot, to me, for its time, was like mind-boggling. Like, I said to my mom and dad, like, I could imagine when this movie first came out, you know, when you guys were young watching it, this must have been terrifying for its time, because it was like nothing really was like really done like that, you know, during its time period. I mean, there was, but not like that. Like, that was, like, today, I don't think that movie aged at all. Like, I watched that movie today, it still creeps me the hell out. Like, you know, when the kid's tapping on the window, you know, open the window. Look at me, teacher. Look at me. Come on, holy man. Faith against faith, holy man. Meet the master, the man you came to meet. Mr. Barlow. That movie was really scary, you know? I mean, some of the acting was cheesy, but I thought the art direction, I thought the way they did the masks, the eyes, really scared the shit out of me. And even today, when I think of horror movies, that's the first movie that I think of that scares the shit out of me. I can't watch that movie at night. I cannot watch that movie at night. That and Chicago Hope. I have to have the lights on. That movie scares the shit out of me. And number 2, I would have to give it to The Shining, and it's crazy because The Shining is almost tied with my number 1 because they're so good. Like, how can you give The Shining anything less than a 1? I have to, only because number 1 is like mind-boggling, if you haven't guessed it already. But yeah, The Shining, number 2. I'd have to say The Shining is one of my personal favorites. I mean, me and my parents, we take lines from the movie all the time. We always say them. We always imitate the movie. We constantly talk about the movie. We're always, you know, acting out the scenes and stuff. That was such a freaking classic. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, but Jack Nicholson was phenomenal in that movie. If I have to give an example of what Jack Nicholson's acting is all about, it was all crammed into that movie. Stanley Kubrick was an amazing director, but I think Jack Nicholson really shined, no pun intended, in that movie Again, classic scenes. Every time you think of a horror movie, you think of the scenes from that movie. From the second that movie started to the second that that movie ended, I just think that movie was so well done. I mean, the little come play with us, Danny, forever and ever and ever. I thought that it was like so spooky. Like anytime like a movie uses kids like that, it's just so spooky, and that movie was like classic for that. So many movies today copy off of that. That is like the foundation of how to scare the shit out of somebody, and I don't think anybody still comes close to that movie. They try to, replicate it, they try to duplicate it, no way. What's up, Doc? You know what I mean? It's like, how did you know his name was Doc? Well, he looks like a doc. That was just scary to me, you know what I mean? Like that whole, mind reading thing, and how they sense the spirits, and Red Rob. Actually, the scariest part of that movie, to me, was when she said, oh, somebody in the room was, the room that they didn't want anybody to go in, somebody was scaring Danny. And then Jack Nicholson went to go check it out, and he saw that naked woman in the bathtub, and she was all hot, and then she's hugging him, and they're messing around, and all of a sudden she turns into like a fucking old lady, and she's like, oh, that laugh still torments me to this day. Like every time I get scared, I think of that laugh. It's like, oh, sometimes I have to look away from that movie, like hold my ears, because it scares the shit out of me. It's like, oh, that's so scary. That is so scary. And of course, I could go on and on. And of course, number one, number one, hands down, The Exorcist. I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. It's in the high hundreds. I mean, every version, the unedited, the extended cut. That movie is the best. There will never be another one. And I don't care how old it is or whatever. It is still the scariest movie ever created. If they ever made a remake, it would be horrible. I mean, don't even mess with it. And I gotta be honest with you, 2 and 3 sucked ass. 3 wasn't too bad. The Heretic, I thought, was garbage. It had its moments. Listen to me. Just leave it at that. The first one is a classic. Okay? Another movie where you could take a million lines from. Classic lines, classic scenes. You know what I mean? I could actually make an hour vlog just talking about The Exorcist. I'm not going to bore you and do that. You just go watch the movie. If you've never seen The Exorcist, you owe it to yourself, especially if you're into horror movies. You know what I mean? There's movies today that come out that don't hold a candle to The Exorcist. The Exorcist was so ahead of its time, whether they use pea soup or not. I'm getting witch hair in my mouth. It was so ahead of its time that it was, it's just amazing. It was an amazing movie. It had such classic creepy scenes. I mean, the flashes with the devil, the bed going up and down, her head spinning, let her die. That movie was just freaking creepy. I mean, her eyes turning white, when she rose from the bed, and laughing at the priest when she killed him, and oh my god, spoiler alert, Jesus, gotta go and watch it. You gotta watch the movie. It's a fucking kick-ass movie. I love it. And everything is based off The Exorcist. Oh, is it as scary as The Exorcist? Is it the scariest since The Exorcist? There's always that word, The Exorcist. Everything is compared and looked up to from The Exorcist. And you know what? It should be. It's not a hyped movie. It's not, overhyped. The movie is freaking amazing, especially for its time. It was so ahead of its time. I always say to my mom, I could imagine, first of all, the controversy of that movie because of the Linda Blair and her age at the time. But, I mean, I said to my mom, I could imagine going to the theater for the first time and seeing this. Like, what were people's reactions when they walked out of the theater? Like, they must have been, like, if I seen that at the time and I went to go to the theater and I didn't know nothing about it, man, I would have walked out of that theater with my jaw on the ground. Like, what did I just watch? That was unreal. And that movie did things that no other movie ever did or touched to this day. You couldn't really, a lot of stuff in that movie you couldn't do today. You wouldn't get away with it. But, I mean, there was some, like I said, some crazy, crazy ass shit you know. But I'm just thinking like, oh my God, that one scene, oof, more than one. But I'm just thinking like to myself, like I couldn't even believe how they could do that today. You know, if they did like a remaster or a remake, it would be so toned down. I know there's a series now. I haven't really had the time to check it out. I'm kind of interested to check it out at least. I've heard decent things about it, but man, you can't touch The Exorcist 1. That is my top of the tops horror movies. There's so many other great horror movies though. I mean, there really is. I mean, Pet Sematary, a great movie. Cujo scared the shit out of me. I love the Halloween and Friday the 13th series. I love Freddy Krueger. Christ, I even liked movies like you know, newer movies like The Grudge. I thought was kind of cool. Like I said, The Ring 2. There's the new one. What other one did there was a movie back, I don't know if it was like the late 80s or early 90s, but it was like more of a cheesy movie, but I thought it was kind of creepy. Was The Gate. If you ever seen The Gate, there were like these little ghoulish goblin things. That was pretty cool. What was the movie that I just watched a movie not too long ago. It was pretty good. You know, I mean, not so much, I don't know if you call them horror, but like Cloverfield, like with the monster taking over the city that got dropped down from like space, and like, I try to keep up with more of the more modern horror movies and shit, but I mean, I love like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I love that. I'm more of like the classic guy, like from the, Wishmaster, Puppet Master. I love all that stuff, the early Stephen King movie, The Stand, It, all that. I've read Christine. Big Stephen King fan, but I like some of the newer stuff too. I kind of like mix it up. Like we would do Halloween movie marathon all month, and I watch the classics. I mean, I love The Twilight Zone. So we watch like in a lot of the old Alfred Hitchcock movies. Like I was watching The Birds the other day with my mom. She likes that. Psycho's like one of our all-time favorite movies with Norman Bates. I like Psycho 2. I like Psycho 3. So we kind of mix it up with newer, older, modern, But the classics, I don't think you could beat the classics. The classics are awesome. So that's just my opinion. Exorcist, above and beyond the best horror movie ever made. I think the best movie that will ever be made. Maybe one day I'll live to see the day that something tops that, but I don't think so. That movie will always be on the top, in my opinion. Let Jesus Christ compel you. Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining me this Halloween season. Check out the gameplay. Check out Resident Evil. Check out all the videos on Mary and JOA. I hope you enjoy yourself. Until next time, take care and trick or treat.